IVM.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 105th episode of Shunya One. Our guest this week is Matthew Scott Heller. Matthew is the Chief Innovation Officer at Alex Therapeutics. We had a really fun conversation talking about unwanted habits and how Alex, the AI companion that they have created, is going to help improve people's healthcare. Give it a listen. I think it's a really fun conversation. So I'd like to thank Intel for sponsoring our show. Isn't it awesome to have Intel as a sponsor?
Absolutely. We're a tech show and they're the best known tech brand. I think it's amazing.
I'm just so happy. And so have you been looking more into this?
Absolutely. So the Intel vPro business platform that we've been talking about actually has a lot of cool stuff, right? One of the other things they help you do is what they call the SIPP, or the Intel Stable Image Platform Program. I mean, it's actually a way to ensure that you always have the right version and the right kind of software for whatever hardware you're using. In fact, it's to ensure that you never have to upgrade to the wrong version of the software or never are outdated.
Sure, I get what you're saying, right? I mean, like, it's extraordinarily annoying when, like, you know, you have like this amazing piece of software which is working really well, and then all of a sudden some piece of software somewhere gets updated or some driver gets updated somewhere, and your lovely piece of software that was working just goes for a toss.
Yes, and it also sometimes messes up everything else on the PC. So yeah, having a stable image, or I mean, if most people will know what this is, ensures that you have the right combination at all times, and it's remotely managed to make it work. So tell you what, obviously you can go to intel.in vPro, that's intil.in/vpro, and learn more about this and check out all the other cool stuff they have.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that.
Welcome to the show, Matthew. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Really excited.
Welcome to Mumbai.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank you, yeah.
How has the welcome been so far?
Oh, boy, it has been eye-opening.
Yeah?
Okay. It has been eye-opening.
Why would you say that?
This is just completely different from where I come from. Okay. In all senses of that word. I mean, look, I thrive on chaos, but I've never experienced chaos like this. And that's coming from somebody who lives near New York City.
Okay.
Okay?
Wow.
So this is truly eye-opening.
Wow.
You know?
How does it compare to, have you been elsewhere in India yet so far?
Yeah, so I've had quite the itinerary the past few weeks. So I flew into Delhi, out to Dubai, back into Delhi, to Bangalore, now to Mumbai, and then back to Delhi.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, I've been all over. And admittedly, I must tell you, I thought my entire trip was going to be in northern India until I realized that Bangalore is in southern India. So I am a complete fool, and I will be the first to admit that. So yeah, I've gotten a good sense of northern and southern.
Yeah, and it's a big country.
Yeah, it's great. You could really sense the difference. Coming from naive eyes, you can really sense the difference in culture from the north to the south.
Right.
Yeah.
I see that. I agree with that. I think that it's one of the things that makes it kind of interesting, right? I mean, like, it's not just one country; it's a bunch of countries.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. And I wish I had more time. The truth is that I wish I had more time to spend with families in the north and the south to really get a sense of the cultural differences that go on inside the home.
That's
because I've been in the cities where I'm seeing things. You know, I'm not getting immersed. I'm watching like an outsider. And that's what you feel like as an outsider.
Also, I think, like, you know, once you get into Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore as cities, right? I mean, like, these are essentially large metro cities. They're international cities in that way, right?
Yeah.
So they are different. They're uniquely Indian, absolutely, yeah. But I mean, like, there are a lot of commonalities between, like, Bombay and cities in the U.S., right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I would say, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like I am planets away from the United States right now. So yes, I mean, you're absolutely right, but I'm just, again, like, I'm experiencing this like a child, right, with fresh eyes.
Right.
And the United States is the furthest thing on my mind right now.
Wow. So tell us, where have you originally been, and tell us the story of what Alex is doing.
Absolutely, yeah.
And who is Alex?
Who is Alex? Those are all great questions. So who am I? Where did I come from? Yeah. I'm from New Jersey.
Okay.
If you couldn't get from my accent, I am not born and raised in Sweden. So I was born and raised, about 10 miles, so not too many kilometers, about 15 kilometers outside of New York City. And
New Jersey, we know because we have a lot of Indians.
You do actually. You do. Some of my best friends growing up are from India.
So there is I don't know what you call it, but like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J.
Yeah.
American born, confused, Desi, emigrated from Gujarat, happy in Jersey.
Oh,
and
my
it goes all the
goodness. Have you guys been to New Jersey?
Oh, many times.
Okay, I was going to ask why, because the joke is that you never want to come to New Jersey.
So
but it's actually a wonderful place.
But so I used to live in Philadelphia, so driving
you
to
did.
New York.
You're nearby. So you're a cheesesteak fan.
Yes, I guess I am.
Well, then Pat's or Geno's?
Geno's.
Oh,
almost
interesting.
Geno's.
Interesting.
Always
all right,
Geno's.
I like Pat's.
I think Pat's and Geno's both kind of suck, but always Geno's.
Oh, that's the truth. I'm glad we're getting to the real point now. They do gotta suck. So, all right. So Philly is close to home for me. I'm Northern Jersey. I spend most of my time in New England. So I went to school in Providence. I went to school in Boston. And long story short, I mean, the connection with Alex came together through a collaboration in graduate school. So I was at graduate school at Brown University, and part of my thesis involved a collaboration with the Alex team. And one thing led to another, and we found that the two co-founders of Alex, we had a very similar vision based on past life experiences, a vision for healthcare, interest in technology, and a passion for creating something new. And I think that all kind of just coalesced into one big whole. And that's how we joined forces. But getting into the meat and potatoes of it, I think what really happened was that when Alex was founded, Alex was always founded as a Swedish company, but really born to be a global entity.
Right.
So, coming on board, the plan has always been an expansion.
Right.
So that's how I got from New Jersey to Stockholm.
Yeah. And now to Mumbai, yeah?
Now to Mumbai, yeah. So I just spent 3 months in Stockholm.
Wow.
So I lived there all summer. The team and I work closely together. And we are in the middle of our international expansion.
Okay.
So I am now based in Boston. So Alex is going to have our global offices, our global headquarters in Boston, and our headquarters with our CEO and our CTO and our development team back in Stockholm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about the product. And again, why is it called Alex?
Absolutely. Why is it called Alex? So here's what we're doing. We like to sum it up really simply. We're really on a mission to help 1 billion people break unwanted habits. And, when you think about it, humans are robots. We really are. We have behaviors that are entrenched at the very fabric of who we are. And we don't think about it. We just do it. That's just part of being a human being. And that comes down to anything. Eating, smoking, when you sleep, when you go out with your friends. These behaviors are so seeped into the core of who we are that some of them have such detrimental impacts on our health that we are so naive to them till it's too late. Okay. So Alex was developed, with a lot of things in mind. Our founding team, had problems in the family with certain alcoholic disorders. I myself had a bad habits that probably should have killed me that I managed to overcome. So this is the vision that I was talking about all coalescing, right? This merged into this platform. So what is the platform? So what we develop is a mobile AI companion. Okay. And the reason I'm saying it like that is very important. Healthcare is in the middle of really a paradigm shift where, you go to a doctor and you get care and you go back to the doctor in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, in 6 weeks, and you get more care, etc. And you get a list of what you can do in between that. But do you follow those instructions? Yeah, sometimes. But you know what's missing? There's no engagement.
Right.
Your doctor can't sit there and text you all the time. That's a limitation of healthcare. Right? Resources are so finite that there's nothing going on. So that critical window, there's no engagement. There's nothing to improve outcomes, to improve the way care is delivered. And that's what we're really focusing on. A mobile companion to supplement what is going on in the office for patients that can't access doctors because of cost, because of availability, for mental health reasons, because of stigma. People don't want to go get mental health because they don't want, God forbid, their friend, their family, their employer to know that they're seeking out this care. So Alex in and of itself is a mobile companion to help all of these people seeking care but aren't going to get it.
Right.
Why Alex? Alexander the Great, the savior of mankind. That's really the goal of what we want to do here, is develop a platform that patients can use without having to feel uncomfortable about going to get something that they don't want people to know about. Okay?
Interesting. And how do you actually, I can understand there's a lot of tech behind this.
Yeah.
How do you actually get people to sort of change or break their habits?
Absolutely. Have you guys heard of cognitive behavioral therapy?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so this is a really big paradigm. So, just to tell you guys, so my background's in neuroscience. And my background has been in, developing new modulatory techniques for drug addiction. Okay, so developing new care paradigms based on, non-invasive neuromodulation, developing new drugs to help alter the way the nervous system functions to treat drug addictions. Okay, so if you're going to talk to a psychiatrist, a clinical neuroscientist, a psychologist, a lot of them, beyond pharmacological treatment options, pills.
Yeah.
Okay. Cognitive behavioral therapy is going to be the modern technique.
Yeah.
As opposed to psychoanalytic techniques.
Right.
To help a patient change their behavior by recognizing the underlying thoughts that affect behavioral outcomes. Okay. So what's our goal? Our goal is to essentially stop that habit in its tracks by helping a patient recognize the thoughts that lead to certain actions that become entrenched as a behavior. All right. So how does the platform work? What we're doing is we're literally digitizing that entire process, cognitive behavioral therapy. Okay. So the way we like to describe it is, we're at the interface of design, technology, and psychology. So taking the paradigm of cognitive behavioral therapy and digitizing it in a very, very user-friendly user interface to a point where we can help patients address the underlying psychological, motivational, situational, circumstantial triggers that, what I was alluding to before, becomes so robotic that we don't think about it.
That's interesting. We have a show on our network called The Habit Coach, right? The idea is how do we create better habits for ourselves?
Sure.
And there are a bunch of things that the guy talks about. It's a guy named Ashton Doctor. He does a really fun show for us, but a bunch of things that he talks about, which I think are kind of interesting, right? I mean, like the idea that how do you make yourself go to the gym or work out every day in the morning? Just fold your clothes and put them away so that put them right next to your bed. So when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do is you get dressed for gym.
That's right.
Right? I mean, like that kind of stuff. So I think that it is it's a space where I'm seeing a lot of really kind of interesting thinking going on.
There's a ton of interesting things going on. The way we develop this platform, with the long-term vision of it becoming a platform technology. So getting the user interface down is absolutely crucial. And that it's been a success so far in the sense of, the best part of this whole thing, other than having success and preliminary piloting showing that this works, is when patients come back and say how much they love using Alex. And that's really exciting for us, right? Because ultimately nothing means anything if people don't like to use it.
Yeah.
But in the future, right, so we're starting with smoking cessation. So our first platform, our first product is live right now for smoking cessation. But, the goal is to expand in a ton of different clinical directions. And when I say clinical directions, really what I mean are what are habits that have a direct medical outcome, right? So I'll give you an example, obesity. Right, obesity is an all-encompassing issue, but at its very core, right, sugar overconsumption, poor eating habits, not understanding the macronutrient composition of the food choices you're making. These are all things that can be influenced by behavioral modification. Right, that go way over our head because we don't think about it because that pizza looks so good, even though I already had pizza in the morning. All right, it's there, I'll do it again. Right, but coming to recognize that maybe there's an underlying psychological trigger, right, or a situational trigger, right, around certain friends that leads to these certain behavioral outcomes. Right, if we can recognize them, we can break them, we can change them, right, and we can perpetuate that into a new lifestyle change. So that is at the very core of what Alex is working on here.
Wow. And just to talk about what you've already launched, you're helping people quit smoking.
Absolutely,
right? How has it been? Tell us about what's been the success so
It's
far.
been really exciting. So, we were launched in Stockholm, and the platform was launched about a year ago in Northern Europe, right? So we've been live in Sweden, in Finland, in Norway, in Denmark, in the UK, and in Germany. And we're really excited. We've amassed about 30,000 users so far. And of all of the patients who complete our 1 to 2 week program, 1 to 3 week program, depending on, it's all personalized. So based on who you are, how much you smoke, we create a personalized de-escalation plan.
It's automatic, right? The tech builds it.
Correct. So this is all based on artificial intelligence and machine learning and predictive analytics, a lot of behavioral economics, all molded into one, very coherent technological backend. And so of the patients who have completed the 1 to 2 week program, we've gotten a 57% success rate so far. So we're really excited in the short term. And that's unheard of compared to some of these other trials that are out there. So we have a lot of work to do. Because look, when you're talking about introducing any product that is straddling health and wellness and healthcare, you're going to have issues with compliance. Right. It's just the name of the game. Right? So we can't come here and say, 30,000 people used our product and 57% of all of them achieved complete smoking cessation. You're never going to get a number like that. But of the ones who complete the program, even if it's 10% of that, that's really exciting in the short term. Yeah.
Interesting. And when you say people are doing this, obviously I understand there's a lot of science, and CBT as a technique is what you're building.
Right.
But tell us a little about the actual tech or the app or the experience of it. How does it really work?
Absolutely. So Alex, in and of itself, it's an app, right? So that's the way we like to do it, which becomes really difficult. I have to just add this because when you're talking about a product, like I said, that is becoming a validated medical product. Right. When you say the word app, it has a negative connotation a lot of the time.
Why so?
Right. So I'll get into our business model and what we're working on. But when you're talking with healthcare professionals, the term app, I guess I have to consider myself a millennial as much as I don't want to. Right. When you think of an app, you're thinking of Facebook, you're thinking of Instagram, right? You're not thinking of an FDA-cleared software as a medical device that's going to be provided by a prescriber and reimbursed by a payer, right? So that term app, you really just have to be careful. Fundamentally, with that being said, Alex is an app. Okay? So that is what we are. I feel better calling it an AI, but I want people to understand what it is.
What it is, where do you get it?
Right? So as an app, okay? you're interacting with the app as though you're interacting with the therapist. And that's really important, okay? So what we're doing here and what our CEO John and I talk about all the time is, the most important part of all of this is digitizing the therapeutic alliance, okay? The therapeutic alliance is the concept. When you're going to get care with your provider, it's ultimately a function of the relationship with that provider.
Yeah. Right.
You're not going to listen to somebody you don't like.
Yeah.
I'll tell you from firsthand experience, I've met a number of doctors and I don't like them. I'm not going to listen to a word they're saying. It's just the reality of who it is.
Yeah.
Digitizing that is crucial. Like I was saying before, what kind of engagement is going on at that critical window of vulnerability in between clinical sessions? The answer, a lot of the time, nothing. Okay.
So how would you even do that? Right?
Exactly.
I'm just thinking because you don't know. Me and Shiladitya are different people.
Right.
We have different kinds of likes and dislikes. You don't know who's who until we start interacting with your app in some way, right?
That's exactly right. So once you start interacting with the app, you can tell right off the bat you're not interacting with a human, right? Which is understandable.
Right.
But what you're doing is you're interacting with software that is coming to recognize all of the habits that are making you you. Okay, so on the back end, what is happening is all of this information that you're willing to provide based on all the security measures that we have in place is essentially being put into a repository of you. Okay, so it's your data. It's data about what are the underlying psychological components of your decision making. What are the different motivations that lead you to want to quit smoking?
Right.
Okay. What are the certain circumstantial incidences that are leading to your smoking? Is it when you're out with friends, when you've just went, and you had a big meal, when you are stressed, when you're happy, and amassing all of this data, okay, on the back end, the tech infrastructure compiles, like I called before, a personalized de-escalation plan. And that's how we come to develop a program that's unique to your situation.
Nice.
From there, we're not saying, okay, you've entered all this information, you're going to quit smoking tomorrow. Cold turkey never works.
You still have to work on it, yeah.
If you read the literature, cold turkey, it works for some people, but you can't look at it as a standardized tool that could work for a lot of people. So ultimately, it comes down to developing a plan of action that is most beneficial to the individual, right? So personalization is a really, really big part of this.
Interesting. And you mentioned earlier about your business model.
Absolutely.
Now, it's all science and and tech, but then obviously as a medical practice, it has to make sense as a business.
So this is the exciting part. So there's a lot to talk about here, and let me approach it this way. Okay, developing Alex, the mission in mind is to develop a brand. That's the goal. Okay, we can look at this from one of two ways. Okay. As a Westerner, I have to look at my experience, right, in the Western world because that's where I'm coming from. But look, we have two really big, ecosystems, I'm going to say, that are developing, and more than developing, they're evolving, okay? We're going to talk about the health and the wellness space, right? We'll call it self-care, and then we're going to talk about the healthcare space, right? There's obvious differences, right? If you go on the App Store in the United States, and I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure if the same applies in India, you will find hundreds of thousands of apps that claim to have medical value. Okay.
Yeah.
The problem is that probably 85% of them are snake oil. They have no validation. They're making a claim that can't be supported by evidence-based science. We're going to call it hard clinical science. But they're making a claim based on some back-end development that thinks that this is going to work for people. Maybe it does work for people. Maybe it works for a few people. But unless it's validated, that's all it's ever going to be. It's something that could potentially work for a few people, and to the others, it's probably snake oil.
Yeah.
Then we have the other end of the spectrum. Okay. Healthcare technology, all right? I mentioned before a fundamental paradigm shift that's happening in healthcare where physicians are since the early days of medicine, the institution of healthcare has always been training physicians to recognize how to treat a disease that is already existing physiologically within the body as a distinct approach from preventing the incidence of the disease altogether. Okay, so that shift is really ongoing right now with preventative care.
Right.
And what's facilitating this transformation? Digital technology, okay? Apps, as much as I hate to say the word.
Right.
So in the United States, this is becoming recognized as a field. Digital therapeutics are evidence-based, high-quality, software-driven digital interventions that can treat, that can prevent, that can manage, and that can diagnose disease. Okay? This is the standardized definition provided by the Digital Therapeutics Alliance.
Wow.
So the reason I'm giving you all this background is because Alex is really interested in straddling both of those opportunities. We want to be a consumer brand because we want to be approachable. I mean, there are no healthcare products out there that are really sticky, right? So I'm not looking at this purely from a business angle, but really from a consumer angle of wanting to help as many people as possible. Branding is as important to us as becoming a software as a medical device that physicians can provide because that's crucial. The future of medicine is not going to be just going to a doctor and getting a pill. Yeah. That pill will have a digital engagement platform supplementing it, if not supplanting it altogether. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. So as far as I'm rambling because there is so much to say about this.
No, I can imagine. Yeah.
In terms of the business model, look, we're looking at this from 5 different angles, and I'll walk you through each of them just to give you a sense of really where this field is moving. The first one, I'll start with the most complicated, is the healthcare angle, okay? Alex is already a CE certified Class 1 software medical device. And what we have going on right now is our preliminary validation studies. So we're doing this from 2 approaches. We're doing retrospective validation of the data that's been collected and anonymized from real-world data collected from users to validate the platform's efficacy as a new AI tool for behavioral modification. Okay. That means we're working backwards, taking this data and proving that it works. Yeah. But we're also in the middle of validating our platform prospectively, which means partnering with varieties of institutions around the world, from the Karolinska Institute in Sweden, potentially to Columbia University Medical Center, Brown University, etc., to validate the platform prospectively towards an FDA clearance. This is anticipating the future of medicine where doctors will literally be they'll be prescribing apps, as ridiculous as that sounds. Yeah. Okay, so that's the reason I'm starting here is because this is down the line. Yeah. Okay, we see a future when insurance companies are going to be reimbursing apps based on their values and their outcomes. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah, I can.
So that's one angle. Okay, number 2 is corporate wellness. Okay. I'm going to use smoking as a perfect example. Okay, the smoking-related comorbidities and expenditures throughout the United States. Okay, not only that, but also the absenteeism as a result of employees who smoke. If I tell you the number, it's pretty sickening. It's upwards of $200 billion.
Oh, you're serious?
It's really, really bad. That's because smoking leads to a variety of comorbidities, cardiovascular disorders, strokes. Right. These are all a result of smoking, okay? So the reason I'm saying this is that employers, okay, will spend significant amount of money on corporate wellness plans to provide new technological opportunities for their employees to quit. Okay, there are some really big companies out there, Virgin Pulse, who is gamifying this whole concept of corporate wellness. Okay, that is exactly where we want to be.
Nice.
So what we do is we have a few corporate clients right now. For example, the Swedish National Railway System, SJ, is our first corporate client. Providing Alex as an opportunity for employees to quit smoking through our platform. Okay, and as we expand, it's going to be crucial to us.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah. Number 3 is insurance.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I am still trying to wrap my head around how insurance works in India. And that's why I'm here. Because in the United States, it's so complicated, okay, that coming from Sweden, you wish you had what Sweden has. We're talking about the United States, we don't have a single payer system, right? We have a very fragmented private and government funded insurance opportunities. But what Alex is seeking to do is to partner with insurance companies to become an add-on to plans for certain policyholders. Okay. What's interesting about insurance companies is typically a premium, a monthly payment for an insurance plan is reflective of your lifestyle and your previous health history.
Right. Yeah.
But what's really difficult is a lot of these insurance companies don't have any metrics right now to really get a sense of what underlying behavioral modification activities are ongoing to prevent certain health issues. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Digital Therapeutics and Alex, we're looking at this like a completely new opportunity for insurance companies to recognize new ways that patients are making active efforts to change their lifestyles.
Right.
Okay. Number 4, pharmaceutical companies. Okay. If you talk to any big pharmaceutical company right now, what they're going to tell you is that medicine is moving towards something called beyond the pill. Like I was saying before, you're not just going to get a pill to treat your smoking addiction, for example. You will have an app to supplement that pill, okay? So partnering with pharmaceutical companies, obviously, it allows us to leverage their distribution channels and their marketing channels. But the way we're seeing it, we don't want to just be a pauper of a pharmaceutical company. What we're doing is anticipating the future when they're going to be trying to develop their own platforms. Okay?
Yeah.
Number 5, directly to consumers. Okay, so that brings me to the present, and that's why I worked backwards. So right now we're live in India. We recently just released a platform live on the iOS App Store, the Google Play Store, and that's been the focus. Is directly branding to consumers through Facebook, through Google, and getting this live directly through them. And that is how we've amassed our 30,000 users so far.
Wow!
So you can download us right now. We're free. We're free on the App Store. Okay. And, eventually we'll be releasing, a premium model.
Okay.
How do you see the market here? I mean, I know we have a lot of smokers.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you. I mean, look, there's a couple ways to look at that. The market for smoking is huge. The recent numbers I read, there are 286 million smokers in India. Okay, 9.5% of all deaths in India are an indirect result of smoking. Like I was saying, as a result of cardiovascular disorders induced by smoking. 42% of all men smoke. 14% of all women smoke. I mean, these are staggering numbers. Massive. But what's really interesting is we're finding that 55% of all smokers in India actually make at least one effort to quit every year. And that's what we care about, because we can get deceived into thinking, oh my God, there's 300 million smokers. We're going to this market. But that doesn't matter. How many of them want to make an active effort to quit? All right. That's the one hand. Let me tell you from another angle. Digital therapeutics, because Alex ultimately intends to be a company providing a digital platform for a variety of conditions. And what's getting us most excited is this. Number one, medical pluralism in India. The dispersion of care. There is care that is not being able to be provided to patients. There are statistics saying 14,000 patients per physician. I mean, this is unacceptable. Healthcare is a basic necessity. But number two is the innovation in telecommunications infrastructure. We recently just met with Ericsson to get a sense of their 5G connectivity, right? And my understanding of the amount of just the availability of technical resources available for phones to work and for data to be transmitted is enabling data transfer at rates we've never seen before. So sort of this intersection of not having enough care and data being so effective with the telecommunications infrastructure. I mean, digital health could really revolutionize healthcare in India more than anywhere else. So we're looking at it from both of those market perspectives.
I think that's really cool. That's a really interesting possibility. So, I mean, like telemedicine is something that people have been talking about for a long time. Right in India, this idea that you can have, but that's always been like the idea that a doctor sitting in one place will be able to treat you somewhere else. This idea that instead it's AI driven. I think that's kind of, I mean, like it's the next step, right?
It's definitely the next step. I mean, I'll ask you guys a rhetorical question. Will AI ever replace the doctor?
Probably not.
I don't think so. I really don't think so. Until, we got into a point where the technology is so robust that we can count it. But ultimately, like I said, it comes down to a human relationship.
But it could definitely replace a lot of the interaction.
That's true. Or it can make the doctor's life easier, right?
Exactly. I mean, I probably don't ask the doctor a lot of stupid questions.
Because
don't waste his time. You're embarrassed, or you're just like,
or
you just think, oh, this must be stupid. I'll look it up. Instead, or worse, sometimes you look stuff up and you end up doing the wrong thing.
You should never look stuff up. Never look stuff up.
No, that's how you become a hypochondriac.
Never look
I know, because I am one.
I feel like there should be a button on all browsers saying never show WebMD.
Oh God, exactly. But telemedicine, that's another interesting angle, because it's something that we're also in the middle of implementing, which is we're not going to make medical we're not going to make medical recommendations, right, without consulting the physician who could potentially also be treating that patient, right? So, for example, in Sweden, we have a relationship with Dr. 24, which is a telemedicine service where if a patient would like to seek additional care in the human context, we have that opportunity available to them. So that's another big opportunity that we're moving and expanding into our platform as we grow beyond just smoking cessation.
Really interesting stuff, man.
Awesome. What are you? Tell us about a little bit more about your India connections. I mean, of course, you've launched here, and there's obviously a lot of potential here. But what's the next step? Where do you go from here? What are the next steps you're making in this market? And maybe a shout out to folks who want to know more. Where can they look you up?
Absolutely. Well, first thing, you can look me up. You can look us up, alextherapeutics.com. Okay.
Download the app, of course.
Absolutely. I can give you guys my email address, and you could please include it in this, and more than happy to. As far as my India connection, that's a great question, because if I could speak completely candidly right now, what's been most revealing about this trip? How overwhelming India is, right? Coming here, all of these meetings lined up. I mean, really, as an entrepreneur, right, you want to go out and you want to meet everybody, but there comes a point where you meet with so many people. I mean, how do you know which one to pick? How do you know which direction to move into? So to be completely honest with you, I think the priority is, you get back to the United States, I'm going to sit down and I'm really just going to think about nothing for 2 minutes and just let it all sink in about how much we just experienced. look, being a little bit more pragmatic, I think the first step is this. We've been in discussions with some of the big public health foundations throughout India because I'm really trying to get a sense of the regulatory landscape. Like I was saying before, we don't need an FDA clearance in the United States, but it would be tremendously beneficial towards anticipating the future of digital therapeutics.
Right.
My understanding of that space in India is you don't need clearance. But you know what? We want clearance because we want people to understand that we have went through rigorous testing to validate our platform. Yeah. So that's number one, okay? Partnering with a public health foundation to get a preliminary pilot up and running in India in the controlled, homogeneous environment so we can say, look, we've tested this with a couple 100,000 patients. It's improved outcomes. This is really a validated platform,
right.
Okay? So that's step one. On the commercial front, look, I think it's also going to come down to just getting a better sense of how to develop our brand, right? Because that's what we want to do. We want this to become a brand, and we don't want this to become a platform that people look at in a silly sense and say, "Oh, to change my behavior, why am I going to do that?"
Right.
And if you want to know, how I think we're going to go about doing that, I think it comes down to a little bit of incentivization. Okay, patients ultimately have to quit by their own volition. We can't tell you to quit smoking, right? Your physician can if you've had 3 heart attacks, but ultimately it needs to come from within. If it's not coming from within, it's not coming from anywhere.
Yeah.
All right, so that's got to be step 2. Is working with some of the larger companies out here, right? Whether it's Amazon, whether it's Walmart, to develop a little bit of an incentivization schemata, right, where a patient might have access to other opportunities if they make this legitimate effort to change their lifestyle. All right, so these are the things that we're looking into right now. And
wouldn't that be better accomplished through like the insurance company partnerships than like Flipkart or Walmart or Amazon?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, why not? Cash back if you quit smoking.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that is a possibility. You're not wrong about the insurance landscape. I'll just be completely honest with you. And this will transition into the third thing.
Right.
I don't understand it well enough.
Okay.
And that's
I don't think anyone does.
Well, good. I'm glad I don't think insurance was meant to be understood, frankly.
Yeah,
You're just supposed to pay it and hope you don't get sick. And that's
exactly.
it. Here's step 3. And, I'm excited to tell you guys about this. Look, here's what we're in the middle of doing. All right. We have, our 2 founders and our R&D are situated back in Stockholm. I'm in Boston these days, right? So I'm leading all of our international expansion and our clinical validation from Boston. And, we're live in India. We're making an effort, a full-blown effort to move into India. But the reality is dictating that if I'm leading international expansion, it's going to be really difficult for me to get Alex to succeed in 2 markets.
Right.
So the next step becomes really looking into a team here.
Yep.
Okay, which means hiring people that understand the cultural nuances of healthcare, all the technicalities of insurance, all the technicalities of validating platforms, right? Understanding the technicalities and the language specifications and the privacy and security measures that go into a digital health platform in India. These are really priorities for us.
Yeah.
So hiring, and meeting the right people, that's going to be crucial.
Awesome. Brilliant. We are going to send some information your way, of
absolutely
course.
will. Absolutely
People who
will.
are listening in, definitely. And if you are smoking and want to try quit smoking, you should download the app.
Yes, you should.
You can find us, directly on the App Store. If you just search Alex, ALEX, Health, AB. A is in apple, B is in boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe it should come up directly like that in the App Store and Google Play.
All right, cool, guys. Please do download it. Quit smoking. It'll be good for you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Matthew, thank you so much. This was amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys.
And you really have a lot happening. So I'm going to wish you all the best for your trip back home. And of course,
thank you so much.
Of course, what Alex can do here.
Thank you so much. I will be at the Asia Health 2019 conference in Delhi.
Okay.
That's going to be between, what are the dates for that? October 15th through the 18th, I believe.
Okay, I think this was probably going to come out after that. 15th through the 18th is 3 days from now.
Okay, well, if not, I hope to see you there.
But just a quick reminder, everybody, please do sign up for our Slack channel. Go to ivmpodcast.com/Shunya One. There's a link over there saying join the Slack, join that channel, and, participate. Also, please do a review on iTunes and, wherever you're listening to this podcast, right? That kind of does help.
All right. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Filter coffee is a fascinating beverage. You need to pick the right beans, blend them in the right proportion, roast them to perfection, and slow brew at the right temperature to get the perfect cup. Which is exactly like great conversations as well. You need to track down the most interesting minds, get them into their zone, and settle down for an unhurried, unscripted chat. And coffee for me is always, always, always best enjoyed with friends. I'm Karthik Nagarajan, and do share my table as I meet some of the most interesting people I know and sit them down for a strong cup of coffee and an even stronger conversation. Join me every Wednesday for a freshly brewed episode. This is not frappe. This is the Filter Coffee Podcast.
Hi guys, this is Ayushi.
And I am Ritasha.
And welcome to Agla Station Adulthood.
It's a fun podcast we've got going on, and we'd love for you to tune in and enjoy with us.
Join us as we stop at various stations and discuss different topics that seem to be bothering us and hopefully
Dating,
you as well.
relationships, beauty, just being an adult, lots of different things.
We don't have a great grip on it, but we've done okay so far.
Catch Agla Station Adulthood every Thursday on the IVM app, the IVM website, or wherever else you get your podcasts.